Alright, so I got all my stitching done for the placket. Got my nice little X here at the bottom. All the stitching's all done for that, except for I need more top stitching and buttonholes. But before we go on to that, we gotta attach our collar. So on the inside of, I don't know if you can see it though, I marked the middle very lightly with a pencil. You can use chalk or whatever though, but I put a little mark there to mark the actual middle of the piece, and then I also marked the middle of the collar then too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up the middle here. That's going to be my first pin. Now we really want to make sure that I'm actually going to be getting the exact center, especially for the back then. Then I'll come around and I'm going to then start pinning around the edge here, like so. And I'm trying to keep everything nice and pinned, or nice and straight here. And one half done. Now I start from the edges going on the inside, so that just in case if I have any extra left over or any excess with the collar or in the actual body itself, I can gather. And I'll gather in the center here, put a nice little pleat. But it seems that I'm actually staying quite nice and even here. But before I finish all the way at the end, I'll show on this side what I'll do. Now say I'll have extra material left over, like so. What I'll do is I will evenly on both sides fold it over. And I think I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to zoom in. Alright. As you can see here, to say if I was to have a little extra material on the body itself, here's the center pin right here. This is the center of both the collar and the body itself. What I'll do is I'll try to gather it and I'll put it in just like that. You want to keep, and you want to be able to do it if you make sure it's even on both sides though on here. And as you can see, I got that, and then I'll just put a pin in there to hold that pleat, and then I'll just sew across, and that's all you gotta do. So anyway, I'm going to continue on pinning up the rest of this collar to the body, and then I'm going to run a line of stitching. You can either use a back stitch or a running stitch. I think I'll just do a nice little tight running stitch going across, and then after that we're going to whip stitch the other part of the collar on into the body. Now you can either whip stitch, or you can also do a single line of stitching. After I'm done with that, then on the actual edges of the placket pieces and around the edges of the collar, I'm going to do a single line of stitching, and then after that I'm also going to go ahead and put in 4 buttonholes on the placket 1 on the collar piece, and then 3 on the actual placket pieces themselves. Alright, so I got the placket and the collar, all the top stitching done on it, the buttonholes. Buttons are all buttoned up. I actually have it nice and put together here. I also have the pocket all pinned up on one side. I try to keep the lines actually nice and even with the pocket compared to the body. And I'm going to start off with a line of stitching. I'll start off around, up here, and then down and around the body, and then back in a square again on each side. Now that's going to help reinforce the sides here, so I don't accidentally one day rip off my pocket from my hands. And I'm going to use a back stitcher on the whole way here, so that's going to make this pocket nice and secure on here. Now once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and attach this button that I have right over here onto the body, and then this body is all done, and I'm ready to go ahead and pin up the sleeves and side seams together, and I can start working on those seams. So and that's really just about it for right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get that done, and then we'll continue on from there, and I'll show you what I do to pin up all the sides and everything. Alright, so I got the pocket all done. I got the button on there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start pinning up the sides. I started about 3 to 4 inches from the bottom on here. Make sure that when you do the other side that you get it about as even as possible on here. And then I put my first pin in. That's going to mark where I'm going to start the seam. And then I started marking kind of up. I used one of the sleeves to kind of estimate where it should stop, which is about around over to here. Now before I put the sleeve in, I have the shirt right sides facing together, but before I put the sleeve right side out, I didn't turn it inside out, I marked the center, the top center of the actual sleeve itself with a pin. And now I'm going to go ahead and matching up the top, the center, the very top of the actual sleeve. I'm then after that going to match this up with that, and then I know that I got my first pin in for the sleeve. Doing this both at the same time, and then what I'll do is I'm going to go around the actual side. I got it already pinned up here. I'm going to go around the side and pin up the sleeve. So I got my I got the actual sleeve pinned up prior to. I actually marked the middle or the top of the actual sleeve prior. I got my sleeve pin. The actual pin here in the sleeve is marking the top. That's the very top of the actual sleeve itself. And I got my fingers right now at the exact point where it's the top of the actual shirt. So I'm going to line up that point and then repin like so, and then I'm going to go along the sides and pin along all in, stopping about 1.5 to about like right about to here on the actual. This is the point of the gusset on the sleeve, so I'm gonna go ahead and pin up all around there. Alright, so I got the like as you can see here, I got the sleeve just about all pinned up on the actual body here, and I got the bottom of the actual the gusset right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of feel around till I get about 1/2 inch, about where I'm going to want to put my seam at, which is about right here at this point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a pin through here. And I know that's going to be my stopping point for my side seam then. So, and then I'll put one more pin in over here. And that's really just about it. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to pin up the other side of the shirt itself and get the other sleeve attached in here. And then I am going to go ahead and start sewing up the side seam. And I'm going to make sure I feel and know exactly where the actual sleeve meets with the body itself. And when I do that, I'm going to put in a little bit of a bar tack right there. That's going to help really secure, because this is a very high stress point, especially right here in the bottom. And because also the side seams and the sleeve seams are also very high stress seams, I'm going to be doing a back stitch on around the sleeves and also on the side seams, and then flat fell these accordingly. So once I do that, then we're really actually having a piece of material here that looks just like a shirt. So we're getting really close to being done with this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to finish up doing the other side, then I'll do my back stitch along here around the sleeve, and then I'll flat fell the seams, and then after that we'll continue on from there.